So the position you have, the state treasurer, was nearly eliminated. I'm sure you're well aware 5 years ago in a ballot vote. Why do taxpayers, do you feel, need this position, and how do you rank the responsibilities of the job as a state treasurer in terms of importance?
I think this is incredibly important to have this position. It's important to have a chief financial officer that is really looking out for the best interests of people that live in this state. There's two things that I really take up the bulk of what the treasurer does right now. To me, the most important thing that they do is they sit on the Board of Public Lands and distribute money to school libraries throughout the state. Schools throughout the state are not getting the funding they need, and it is incredibly important to me that we are giving as much money as we can to school libraries. I work in a school district right now. I see the impact of funding and the lack of funds, the lack of support that our school districts are getting right now. Our school district is going to have to do a referendum this fall to increase spending. There's a number of school districts in our area. So to me, that is the most important thing in this role, because I see the impact and I know how important it is. Education is incredibly important to me. Now, the other part of that is also important. They also provide money to municipalities throughout the state, cities, villages, towns, to do various projects in their city. A lot of it's infrastructure, replacing lead pipes, maybe fixing wastewater treatment plants. That's also incredibly important. I would rank that second. I'm the mayor in Fitchburg, Wisconsin, and I again see how important it is. Now, it's just the same as on the school district side, but on the city, village, town side as well, that we're not getting more money from the state. The Republicans have just frozen funding, and so we only can increase money based on how much building we have. We're incredibly fortunate in Fitchburg. We have a lot of building that's happening, a lot of new houses, apartments, businesses. But there's a lot of communities in the state that don't have that. And so they need help, and that's one of the things that the Board of Public Land, or the Board of Public Lands, does do, and so they do help communities throughout the state as well.
Nice. What would be on your list of priorities if you win the election in November?
Well, continue all those things. Also continue the great work Sarah Godlewski has done. And then there's a couple of things I would like to also do in this role. One is I think that the treasurer should increase financial literacy throughout the state. I've actually talked to the credit union that is headquartered here in Dane County. They've won awards for financial literacy, and if I'm elected, they've actually already told me that they will share all the materials that they have. And that's materials for kids, for teachers to use with kids, for adults, and they already have that in English and Spanish. I want to translate it into Hmong as well. That's another language I think is important. But I really think that financial literacy is so important, and for all ages. And so that's something that I want to focus on promoting and working on and increasing in the state. Mm-hmm. Another thing that I want to do in this role, and something that also is important to me, is home ownership. We need to increase home ownership in the state. We need to make it possible for more communities and for more individuals to have home ownership, and that's a goal that a lot of people have. And I know in Fitchburg, again, as the mayor of Fitchburg, this is something that I'm working on right now. We are working on a program that we're calling a rent-to-own program, where people actually will rent a unit from the city. The city's going to buy like 10 condos. And so they'll start by renting that. A portion of the rent goes towards a down payment. And in 7 to 10 years, they're actually going to have a 20% down payment. They can then purchase that from the city. And with a 20% down, they don't have to get private mortgage insurance. They have a lot more flexibility in financing. And then they can own that property. That's when you really start changing people's lives. You're building generational wealth. And so programs like that other communities are doing throughout the state, I want to be able to provide funding to help make those things happen. We're not going to provide all the funding for that, but if we can help fill gaps to increase the opportunities throughout the state, that's great. It doesn't have to be like this program. There's lots of options and lots of ways that you can increase home ownership. That's something that I really want to do in this role.
Mm-hmm. I know you touched on your experience there in Fitchburg, but this might be your answer, but what experience do you have that lends itself to the state treasurer position?
piece of that. We have a $25 million operating budget, $100 million capital budget, and so I'm used to working on these big budgets. I know the challenges that communities face throughout the state, and that's incredibly important to have. So that's a big piece. I have the education piece as well. I have a business degree from UW Green Bay. I have an MBA from UW Whitewater. I actually spent 16 years in the business world at a variety of companies, including credit unions and insurance companies. So I can also speak the language of the financial world. So that's incredibly important as well. I also work in the Oregon School District, and because of that link between this role and providing funding for the schools, I think that's also incredibly important to have, and also experience that I understand the challenges school districts face and how important that money is as well. I think if you were going to draw up someone to what is the ideal qualifications for this role, I don't think that you could find someone more qualified for me, and that's what I talk about a lot, and I think is the biggest difference between myself and my opponent is that I've got all this extremely relevant experience in all these different areas that are all the things that the treasurer does.
Why would you say should voters take interest in voting for the right candidate for treasurer, and what makes you that right candidate?
Well, I'd like to think that voters would always vote for the right candidate. They don't always, or they have different reasons for voting who they want to. It's incredibly important to be educated about who those candidates are and what their priorities are and how that matches up with your priority. But ultimately, people need to get out and vote. It's such an incredibly important thing. And so getting informed, finding out who is the most qualified, I think is incredibly important. And again, I think that my qualifications make me the right candidate. I'm someone that isn't just going to talk about the things that they've done or that they want to do in this role. I know about things that I have done in roles like this. And so that's really the biggest differentiator, is that I can talk about all these things that I have done, and it's not just some, pie in the sky, this and that. I can actually point to experiences that I've actually accomplished.
Mm-hmm. And is there anything else you'd like to share with the readers of the Intercounty Leader, or those listening today on our digital platform that we didn't have a chance to touch on this afternoon?
I would say, we're talking about the experience and things I've done. Two other things that I think are important. One is in commitment to the environment. Fitchburg has been a leader in sustainability, and one of the goals that we've had is to have 25% of our energy that we use as a city come from renewable resources by 2025. We've been putting solar panels on buildings and doing things to get to that goal. Well, there's a solar farm that was built here in Fitchburg, and I authorized the city to participate in that, also support the building of that. And by our participation, I'm very proud to say that the city is actually at 40% of the energy we use as a city is coming from renewable resources, way ahead of our 25 by 25 goal. That's a big thing, I think. And then another thing is the commitment to diversity. And that's something that I've been a big fan of and big supporter of. One example I like to talk about is that when I was elected mayor, we had never recognized Pride Month. And that's something that I did right away. First June that I was mayor is that I recognized Pride Month. And then the next year, we recognized it again, of course, but I started moving up the stakes a little bit. I also want to fly the Pride flag outside City Hall to show how committed we are to diversity. And so we did that. And at the end of the month, I actually said to our HR director, I said, we're showing this, we have this up, and this is up to show our commitment to diversity, that we're inclusive. But that's not just 1 month that we're doing those things. That's year round. And I actually want this flag to fly year round to show our commitment to diversity. We're the most diverse community in Dane County. About a third of our residents are from diverse backgrounds. And so that's something for over 2.5 years now. We've had the flag outside City Hall.
Thanks. Well, I appreciate you joining us this afternoon.